Hello, Norway, and hello, Eurovision fans. It is William and Porig here. We have just watched semi-final one of Norway's Melodi Grand Prix 2021, and the first winner is Blåsemafian featuring Hazel. We have a lot to talk about. Are you ready? Let's do this. Porig Muldoon in Ireland. Before we talk about the duels, what did you think of the staging of this MGP?
I thought, given in this area or era of Corona and COVID, they did a very good job. In a couple of the performances, I noticed the kind of echoey effect because obviously they're performing in an empty arena. But for the most part, the camera angles and the staging, it was very cleverly done in that you didn't get the feeling that you were in a very empty, soulless venue, and they managed to avoid what happened in Denmark last year when at the last minute they had to do it without a crowd. So this year it obviously had like maybe 12 months to perfect it, but it went very well considering everything that's going on in the world.
Yeah, I thought this was one of the best looking stages we've seen at any national selection, regardless of whether there was an audience. It seemed like it could do a lot. There's a big futuristic spaceship. And also, I think not having an audience really helps you focus on the act, and you can really see areas where maybe they're not doing so well. So, for someone with a critical eye, it's actually brilliant because you can hone in. In any case, Duel won. This was Stina Talling versus Beady Belle, or as I like to say, auntie versus her niece. This was very much woman versus girl. Stina Talling, was meant to be the young, fresh one. Beady Belle, she was catering to a different demographic, but I've got to say, I preferred Beady Belle's staging. She had all these mirrors. She had sass and attitude, and like the dancers were on point. I thought the choreography was cool. It was just more interesting. I really don't like the song at all, but I was like, maybe her staging will push her through over Stina, because Stina's staging, this is kind of Melodi Festival and MGP by numbers. Girl, modern dance, nice voice, airy, people spinning way too fast in the background because the song isn't as interesting. So they try to make up for it with the backing dancers. In any case, Stina did win, so I was wrong. What did you think?
Yeah, I agree with you on the Melody Festival, and because that staging, I feel like we've seen it with Lisa Ajax, with Malu Pritz, name any of the young pop starlets, and they've had something similar. I think it was a foregone conclusion. It was very obvious for me that Stina was the one that was going to win this duel. Her song was that bit more contemporary. It was easy on the ears, although I feel that it worked better in studio version because live it seemed to be too big for Stina. Her vocals didn't seem to be strong enough to make it impactful, but it was enough to get past Beady Belle. The staging and the song for her didn't match up right. But it was very modern and slick, and then she was doing more kind of, it felt a little dated and it didn't match up. And yeah, it was never going to win. It was bottom of the odds. It was bottom with our poll, with our readers poll. So it was always going to be the first victim.
Yeah, I put it fourth in my initial reaction video, Beady Belle. But then live, I just thought that Stina's vocals weren't there. Maybe that's a technical thing that you were speaking to earlier about the staging, but something sounded off. And so let's just be glad there was no jury, because I don't think our girl would have made it necessarily based on the vocal performance. In any case, we move on to duel number 2. This was Jorn, the famous iconic rocker with Faith Bloody Faith, against Blåsemafian featuring Hazel. Now, before this, I was all about Jorn, and after this, I'm still all about Jorn. It was a hot mess. And that's why I liked it. I forget, were there like belly dancers? I just remember seeing like 2 women who were almost like an illusion, but they were real through the smoke. And then there were like Persian carpets. And then you had like a Ruslana extra or a Lordi extra, like rocker in the background. This was all over the place. And yet it worked for me. He's such a seasoned performer. Jorn's just like, he can work his eyebrow. His nostril deserves a zoom in. Everything about him was performing. He was so confident. There was so much swagger. I don't know. He just seems like a seasoned performer. Granted, he's a bit older, so I don't know if that appeals to a younger demographic that may make up the bulk of MGP. I thought he was, before this, I thought he was going to go through. And then after watching his performance, I thought, okay, yeah, he's going to go through. But then I saw Blåsemafian. Okay, Blåsemafian, that was really cool staging. You know, it's a weird kind of heard it all before kind of song. It's like, yeah, some horns, you got some Euro dance. And then Hazel in the background walking in, she almost seemed a little sleazy lounge singer. I don't know what I'm trying to say, like a singer at a strip club. There was something about it that was, I was like, what is going on? But then the staging was amazing. I thought the staging, it was the most energetic and effervescent. And then I was like, okay, my man Jorn is out. And yeah, they went through. I think it was just really cool staging that helped elevate what actually is a very catchy song. The horns work really well.
Yeah, I was with you that when I saw Jorn perform, I thought, okay, he has it in the bag. And I think if he had been up against any of the other acts in his first duel, he would have made it to the gold duel final. But then his staging was just all over the place. It was very memorable though, which isn't something you could say for the first two songs. But then Blåsemafian, they were the ones who truly utilized the stage, because with all the other acts, you could have had their song on any other run-of-the-mill stage and it would have had the same impact. But Blåsemafian used the LED walls, the LED floors, everything to the full effect. They had even the on-stage back room that they'd made up with the exposed brick wall. They had the very highly choreographed with the three men with their wind instruments doing everything. Like a lot of people were drawing comparisons that it's kind of nearly like Moldova on a bit of a budget, like a big budget. I think though it was all about the trumpets and the saxophones. I don't think the vocals, not necessarily the vocals, the lyrics and the vocal part of the song were what hooked people. It was, the song just had those in for the sake of it because you have to have a certain amount of lyrics for the rules of Eurovision. But it's not the whole package, I think. And it was the staging that it was just the most memorable staging of the night. It was more memorable, I felt, than either of the two pre-qualified acts as well.
Horniness won the day. That purple, the blue, the floor, the men, the thrusting, the woman. It also, they contrast nicely, the horn players and then the female singer. I think if it was just Blåsemafian on their own, A, they wouldn't have no vocals. But B, you need that contrast. I really, yeah, it grew on me. We always say that, you know, studio cut is one thing, a live performance is something completely different. And this really jumped for me. So well done to them. Now, we've got to move on to the gold final. It was Blåsemafian taking on Stina. And just based on vocals, I was like, Stina's gone. Like, based on staging, Stina is now definitely gone. And then, yeah, Blåsemafian won. It was a clear choice in my mind. After seeing the first two duels, they were the clear standout act in this gold final.
Stina, in fairness to her, she did bring it more, I felt, in the second time, that the issues that were there with her first performance were largely gone, but there was just no competition against Blåsemafian because their performance was just so eye-catching and it was like candy to the ears. Nothing else tonight really compared to it, and everything else was going to be forgotten.
Yeah, and to her credit, she is only 17, so she will likely come back to this competition in 3 or 4 years and absolutely slay. And also, she was kind of carrying the whole performance on her own, because for me, just delete those dancers. I don't need to see all that. Just delete it. Whereas Blåsemafian and Hazel, you know, they could spread the weight, the pressure. They had each other. So in that sense, I guess they had an easier ride. So well done to her. Can't wait to see what she does next. All right. We got to talk about the two pre-qualified artists, and this is very, very interesting. The first is, of course, KEiiNO. So much hype here. And I actually want to paraphrase a tweet from one Porrig Muldoon. Porrig Muldoon said, actually, Porrig, why don't you read us your tweet, which sums up your feelings about KEiiNO? Because when I read this, I was thinking, I bet a lot of people are going to feel how he feels.
What I said was that I had my doubts, but Monument slaps live. And then that Alexandra's vocals are something else. And that's the thing with this live performance, that when I heard it last night, or no, it was 2 nights ago at this stage, I had my doubts. I was like, oh, it takes very long to get into. It's a very nice song, but it takes 2 or 3 listens to have any effect on me. But the moment it started live, I could feel the hair standing on my arms. There was something special. There was chills. And that was just from the vocals and the music, because I'm not going to lie, I don't think this staging is the staging that they should bring to Eurovision. It's very dark. They didn't utilize all the things that were available to them, but May is still a long way away if they get that far. But the song is a worthy successor to Spirit in the Sky, and it's something different. And they've managed to still have the schlagery pop element, still have the joiking, still have the catchiness without copying their past glories. And they brought something fresh. And it's something that it lit up Twitter during the live performance. And they're definitely, as of now, in my opinion, the act to beat in MGP.
Alexandra's vocals, I mean, I was into the studio cut. I should just say that to begin with. But the more I hear it, the more I like it. And that's the same thing that happened to me with Spirit in the Sky. But this time, the first live performance, Alexandra's vocals, I'm sorry, she killed it. She absolutely killed it. I haven't used this phrase thus far this year, but call the police. Our girl is killing it. This was like, I was floored by her vocals. It was perfection. She was perfection. I think there were some harmony issues, though. I don't know if it was Tom with the yoik or the yoik with Alexandra, but I remember twice being like, ooh, something just went wrong. And that could have been the mixing as opposed to them, because they're typically perfect. But putting that to the side, because that's easily fixable, I do think they will change the staging. You know, if we noticed last year, for instance, the Soli Tangent brothers had different staging for the final. I think they don't want to give away everything they're going to do just yet. Monument, it actually, the word monument made me think of Savak from Armenia 2018. And you see this performance was also very gray, austere, that kind of monument-esque feel. But the use of the laser beam, I thought that was very effective. You know, I'm not saying this is copying Daughter in any way, but it's just a very simple, a very effective technique. You know, that green light cutting across the screen. You're like, ooh, suddenly we're not in Oslo, we're in Jupiter. What was that song last year about Mars? What about Mars? What about Mars for KEiiNO? Because we were somewhere out there. This is very strong. Yeah, I agree with you. This is the one to beat. And seeing, or hearing rather, what they did tonight makes me think they could actually challenge at Eurovision, because the jury would be all over this, no doubt. No doubt. And obviously fans are going wild already. That's a given, because it's so bloody good. But yeah, I guess just to sum up, I'm feeling extra good about KEiiNO now, having seen that. And clearly your opinion has gone up as well.
Yeah, no, definitely, for sure. I thought that it could be just something that fans were getting a little bit overexcited about, just purely based on that people loved them so much for Spirit in the Sky and for the follow-up singles and the album, and that there was love out there that the group had worked very carefully to nurture within the community, because they've been very engaged with fans since Tel Aviv. But tonight, they justified their position in the gold final, and they justified their return. Because a lot of people were even questioning why come back so soon, that they did so well, are they nearly putting their reputation at risk that if they don't do as well again? But regardless of how they do, they can hold their heads proud that they've done the best they can.
They were song contest warriors. I was thinking like Norwegian warrior. I don't know. There was something, I don't want to say samurai. There was just, her dress was so strong and fierce and ready for battle. And Tom, he was almost like this 1980s warrior. It was like on trend. And then Fred was just serving it. And my favorite moments at the beginning, when Fred kind of looks back and the camera pans and it goes to Alexandra and Tom, that was good. That was good. In any case, there's one other act, another pre-qualified artist, and this is TIX. And I've got to say, when I heard the studio cut today, I was like, or yesterday, I forget what, yeah, yesterday, I was like, wah, wah, In Sync, Backstreet Boys. But then when I saw him live, it was so OTT, like, you know, American Horror Story. This was like Norwegian Horror Story. The angels, the devils, the smoke. I had Sergei Lazarev flashbacks with the wings, and him, this vision of God. You know, it was like I heard Madonna saying God. It was, I don't know. This was crazy, bonkers. He actually looked like David Lindgren from Sweden after a very long night out. Like what's the word? G'd up, like a pimp. Do you know what I mean? Like he was like, I don't know. What I'm trying to say is this was likable. I thought he was very likable, and I can see why he's so popular among young people. He has the X factor. He's his own person. And this, I even forgot that this was dated. Like, because today I was like, Justin Timberlake reject from NSYNC 1995. But no, when I saw it live, I completely forgot all of that. And I was like just into it and watching. And it's a great example of how staging can change the game.
I think
for
it
some
was
of us.
OTT, but it wasn't OTT enough. That if you're going to be here in this big massive coat and big massive wings, and you've the devils all around you like pulling at you with chains, and that's all that happens for 3 minutes. Like, I thought there was going to be a big, like in Drag Race, that there'd be a big reveal and that he'd pull back the wings and it reveals something even more spectacular, or that he'd get down like Dami Eam and walk forward, or the wings would take him up into the air the way it did with Rocco's Angels in Tel Aviv. But none of that happened. He just stood in his splint. He had his wings. They didn't flap. They didn't move. He sang there. The demons were either side of him, pulling all the things. And that's all that happened. And the song, he's very popular in Norway. And maybe the song has a very meaningful message to it for those that speak Norwegian. But as a non-Norwegian speaker, it didn't it impressed me much at all. Like, it's fine on Spotify. It's fine background music. But I didn't like it at all. And just because it's got a big man with an angel, and he didn't angel wings, and he didn't do anything with the angel, like I wasn't sure what the message was. Like, is he supposed to be like the fallen angel, like Lucifer or something, or is he like a good angel that's caught in the middle of all the demons, or what's happening? Like, if you're going to have some over the top staging, and that's clearly trying to tell a story, you need to tell that story, and not just stand there and presume that we can understand what it is.
Now, today on the live chat, when we premiered the video reaction to this song, someone in the comments said that he's been saying in Norwegian media that, you know, it's inspired by when he had Tourette's and people were really mean to him, and that's kind of like the darkness, and he's rising above it. And so I think maybe domestically, for the domestic audience, they would be able to read it, because I didn't actually, when I was watching it, think of it in that context, but now reviewing the live chat in my head, I'm like, oh, that must be what it's about. But I think it would speak more generically if they did pump it up, as you say. They do need to pump it up. They got to pump it up. But they probably would in the final. I think
Yeah,
they're,
there
again,
needed to be
saving.
a moment. There needed to be a moment that I never really felt that he overcame the demons, that he stepped away from them and was like, bam, they're gone. He was just there. They were there the whole time. And during lockdown, like, I've been watching a lot of trash on Netflix, and it reminded me of Sabrina, the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, and they have Lucifer and Lilith and all these demons and angels running around doing all that sort of thing. And I got a poor take on that. And it's, if it goes to Eurovision, unless it's tweaked in some way, the message is going to be lost the same way as with Francesco Gabbani and his Gorilla back in 2017. People are just going to see crazy staging. And I presume that the song has, obviously it has a meaningful message if it's about his story with Tourette's, but it's lost in the stage.
I was thinking, speaking on the Netflix thing, I was thinking of Lucifer, because that actor, Tom Ellis, he fine, and Tix, Tix has got it going on. He could be a model. He's got this very unique look. Yeah. So a final exercise for you, Porrick. I want us to rank. There's still 3 of these acts are still, you know, going, or 3 of these acts are going to the final. The 2 pre-qualified artists, KEiiNO and TIX, and then tonight's winner, the Wind Mafia. So let's rank them, our top 3. You can go first.
3, I'm putting TIX. At 2, I'm putting Blåsemafian, and then a long way ahead of the rest, because I'm expecting that people like Ray and Alexander are going to jump ahead of Blåsemafian. I'm putting KEiiNO at number 1.
Okay, so my number 3 is Blåsemafian. I think it's great. I just feel like we've heard this, you know, like for years at any kind of Eurodance event. My number 2 is TIX, because I think that, you know, it's funny, you say something big should happen, and now I think, yeah, something big will happen. So I'm really excited. That one surprised me the most, I think, of all of these. It elevated the most. And then my number 1, again, far and away, is KEiiNO. This is the one to beat, and I don't know if it's beatable. I don't know if this is beatable, because you know they're going to have something big in the final. They're going to have something huge. That song is so catchy. The more you hear it, the more you like it. It's just because I really liked it the first time, but now I'm just like, dang, yes, yes. And I understand some people don't like the lyric, a minor symphony, but like, yeah, I don't mind it actually. I think it fits contextually, musically, lyrically. We're nitpicking. If like the big criticism is that lyric.
At the end of the day, if you have a catchy song with a high quality melody and good quality production, you can do well. Because if you think about it, Sergei Lazarev with You Are the Only One, if you look at it like forensically, it's just a collection of phrases that sound nice together. And so the lyrics at Eurovision, They're secondary. Obviously, they need to make some sense, but something like a minor symphony or Thunder and Gloria, they're going to stick in people's minds, and I don't think people are going to be taking marks away from them, especially when you're going to have a whole legion of people rhyming fire with desire.
Thank you. And I'm going to tell you something I've never told anyone. I don't like the lyric in Lorene's Euphoria, an everlasting piece of art. Really? Really? Euphoria, an everlasting piece of art. Really? Euphoria, a feeling is a piece of art? It don't make no sense. And I actually thought she was saying, Euphoria, together gonna never keep us apart. I always in my head for years changed it unknowingly. And then I actually Googled the lyrics for years ago and I was like, oh my God. So yes, to your point, Wind Symphony, sailing away. That's fine. It doesn't have the cringe factor. I still love my girl Lorene. Let's not get me wrong. Euphoria is still the #1 song of all time, blah, 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 blah. But that lyric is cringe. Yeah, well, this is exciting. Any final thoughts from you?
I'm looking forward to see what's coming next week and the week after and the week after and whatever more weeks this contest goes on for.
Are there any acts from last year that have not been confirmed that you would like to see reconfirmed? Whether that's an Akuvi, a Diedrich Solitanshin, or Ray Lee? Is there anyone on like your mind?
I've heard people say Ray Lee. It's popped up. I've seen it on a few message boards and online and stuff. But I would be worried then that if Rayleigh is back in the semis after her performance last year, why is she in the semis? Like, is her song not good enough? But then last year, as we saw in the final, all the songs apart from Eureka, all the ones that got to the gold final were semi-final qualifiers. So the gold final isn't necessarily a mark of quality. So Rayleigh would be a great one to see back. And then for some reason, like, it would be amazing if you just saw someone random from like the days gone by, like if Adeline say popped up or someone completely random like that.
It's funny, on Wiwibloggs over the summer, we ran a post because we saw Rayleigh at a recording studio in Malmö. And she was with some heavy hitting Eurovision composers. So you would think that she would be back, but we'll just have to wait and see. That's really exciting. She's the one actually from last year. I also really liked Akuvi's song because she sang a dance song in Norwegian. But what I gathered from social media, she was not so keen on all the voting stuff and she was very outspoken. So who knows if she would actually be back. In any case, that is what we think. What do you think? Did the right song win this evening? Did your opinion of any of the acts change because of staging? Ours, or mine certainly were changed. And which of the pre-qualified artists, KEiiNO or TIX, are you singing to, dancing to, and downloading? Let us know here on Wiwibloggs.
Make sure to give the video a like, comment below, and subscribe to the channel.
And we will see you later. Bye.